Do you get depressed when you miss a football game?
You'll never...
10:38 the time. Just literally seconds away from a momentous occasion. I hope you've awakened the children and brought them into the living room, gathered them around the radio set. Some of you may want to pour a stiff drink. Those of you, especially of the Republican persuasion who have weak hearts, are probably going to want to sit down. If you have oxygen available, you may want to turn that on. If you have neighbors who are not listening to this program or who you suspect are not listening to this program, you may want to call them very quickly. Tell them to turn on the radio, because something that has not been heard for a long, long time is about to be heard on the radio. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you our beloved leader, the big guy, Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Now, the simple truth is, those Democrats who are here are probably here because, like millions I've met across the country, they have found they can no longer follow the leadership of the Republican Party, which has taken them down a course that leads to disaster.
Tell it like it is, Ron. I love it. Would you like to hear it again?
Now, the simple truth is, those Democrats who are here are probably here because, like millions I've met across the country, they have found they can no longer follow the leadership of the Republican Party, which has taken them down a course that leads to disaster.
Oh, what the heck. One more time.
Now, the simple truth is, those Democrats who are here are probably here because, like millions I've met across the country, they have found they can no longer follow the leadership of the Republican Party, which has taken them down a course that leads to disaster.
I love it, don't you?
Great question. Would I be pleased?
Rank and file that discipline must be maintained.
I don't think it's any of their business, but in the case of the governor, I just said I was undecided, which I'm not, so I guess that messes up their poll a little bit. But could you tell me, Mr. Reagan is always saying that he got a mandate. I know he got the electoral vote, but from what I understand, he only got 59% of the popular vote. Now, how could that be a mandate?
Well,
people don't want him.
All politicians that win with anything in the way of a majority consider it a mandate. You know, it's just rhetoric. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it's only 9%. That's not my idea of a mandate.
Well, it wouldn't be my idea of a mandate either, but nonetheless, they all do the same thing. It's just rhetoric.
But, you know, every time something happens that they can't answer, they say no comment, and then the think tank gets a big bunch of words together that he can read. I'm wondering, the thing that you just played on the air, they'll apologize and explain that tomorrow, that it was a fluke or something.
Well, the president misspoke, obviously. He's always misspoken. He misspeaks about whether he wants to get rid of all the nuclear weapons or just some, or he misspeaks about everything.
Yeah, but they always cover up one, and we believe it. I mean, most the people say, well, he sounds so sincere, but they don't.
Well, my producer just informed me that, is this the official explanation for this, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, not yet. Michael is, my producer, is speculating that the official reason for this will be 25,000 miles fatigue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Good as any.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vanilla 393-0057, Tampa 224-0057. St. Petersburg, you're on air at WPLP.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
You know, he just made my day tonight.
Mm-hmm. Made my year.
Saturday night, about 11:15, I was sound asleep and I got a telephone call.
At 11:15?
Yes, and when I answered, he said, hello, this is your President, Ronald Reagan. I'm asking you to help me, and that's all I heard. I just slammed up the receiver because I was
At a quarter? Are you serious? A quarter to 11?
I'm not kidding you a bit.
That is really backfiring. I've heard a lot of people who are staunch Reagan supporters who are very displeased about those calls.
The thing is, I'm a registered Democrat. But, that time of night of all times. But then all I could think of tonight after I heard Peter read that, I thought the great communicator must have had Betty Boop on his mind and made the, he's always making those Freudian slips.
Well, maybe he was really telling the truth this time. I don't know. I want to believe him.
Well, anyhow,
I'm proud of him.
After Saturday
I'm
night,
standing tall.
after Saturday night, I was most happy to hear that. I don't usually laugh at other people's mistakes, but I thought it was a mistake. And, the funny part of it was I recognized his voice, and then I got to thinking maybe it was someone, that was just being funny. And then I seen in the Sunday paper where they'd really been doing that. There was about 10,000 in the state that got those calls.
Oh, there was an article in the paper tonight about, unfortunately, a mistake with the automatic dialing equipment, and they kept calling a hospital over and over and over again, several hundred times, I believe, before they got it straightened out.
Yeah, I heard that on the news on TV.
Yeah.
That they did that.
Yeah, this one's going to blow up in their faces. It's not going to cost me
Well,
any
I'll tell you
grief,
something.
but
I would crawl on my hands and knees to get to the polls in the morning. I'm going to be there when they open.
all right. Sounds good to me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Vanellis, 393-0057. St. Petersburg, you're on the air, WPLP.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
I think we dismissed one thing just a little too lightly there. The elderly gentleman who said that he had on occasion voted for obscure candidates. Samuel Gompers and Eugene Debs and Norman Thomas and Mrs. Woodhull were all very obscure candidates who never had any chance of winning, but they introduced Social Security, women's suffrage, school vaccinations, Federal Reserve System, national parks, dissemination of birth control information. Very, very significant. But
well, I appreciate all of
in the show. These people get the ball rolling, and when the mainstream candidates can't any longer resist it, they, of course, finally latch onto these ideas, and a lot of people would walk around the earth thinking that Franklin Delano Roosevelt invented Social Security. Well, of course, it was being kicked around when he was a boy.
I appreciate that.
Candidate, yeah.
But the problem is that when you go and do something like that, I mean, suppose, okay, he said he thought that Carter would have made a worse president than Reagan. Suppose that Ronald Reagan had lost by one vote to Jimmy Carter. That's what's wrong with it, and such things have happened.
Yes.
Such things have happened in the past.
Oh, yes.
So that's why I can't condone voting for someone that literally does not have a chance. Especially if you feel that one candidate is better than the other. Granted, you don't like either of them really, but one of them you dislike far more than the other.
Yes.
Than to vote for a third party that just doesn't stand a chance. To me, my way of thinking is just throwing your vote away.
Yeah. Imagine the man, say, like Norman Thomas, who ran some 12 times. I mean, imagine the strain on him, knowing he would never win, but it's incredible what people will do for a cause. And how important it can become down the line.
That's why I think we've got to come up with something like the no preference, because the parties don't pay any real attention to these third-party candidates. They don't really consider that any great slap in the face.
Lacking. There is not that spark of enthusiasm about the thing anymore. These political announcements are becoming absolutely comical. They say, it's mom and apple pie and
my opponent's a commie. He beats his wife, and I understand he does strange things with his dog.
Yes. And it just leaves you, of course, the other fellow's commercial is just as pat and uninspiring. And
more so than not, I'm afraid, yes. More so than not.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Keep griping.
Well, there is one thing. Now that our president has reformed and started telling the truth, so it may bring some change.
This is twice in 1 week.
Yes.
Twice in 1 week.
It would become a habit.
Oh, wouldn't that be refreshing?
We'd have to listen to the truth for the next 2 years.
Thank you, my friend.
I think we can stand that.
Oh.
What do you think?
Thank you.
Good night.
What does it take to represent successfully St. Petersburg's District 54 in the...